Hey, good morning, John. Great to see you here. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Glad you are with us this morning. Hope this wild weather is treating you all right. I hope you have power. Hey, just got pumped up with probably my biggest wholesale order. That is outstanding. It's outstanding. I mean, not only is it fantastic that you got a great order, but it's also these little signs of life kind of returning to the world. People excited about doing things and having things and being a part of life. So great. That's good news, John, and thank you for sharing it. We rejoice with you. Well, I hope you're rejoicing. It probably just means a lot of work for you, but I hope it's a good thing. Hey, good morning, Bob Guinan. Great to see you. Hope you're well. Morning, Donna. Good morning. I thought you might be on generator. I know there's a number of people uh, near and far that are on that are without power this morning. So, um, I think it's one of those things where I actually don't mind losing power occasionally. I think there's something very right of being reminded every once in a while that we live in this world that have not yet fully quite mastered, and that there are powers greater than ourselves at work, even if they are just the powers of the natural world. And I think one of the great issues of our days these days is that we sometimes forget that we somehow think we can overcome all these things. But I'm not. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that this morning. Anyway, I'm glad you got a generator. Glad you're well and warm. That you're staying connected there, and that you are good. It is the season. It is. That's right. These fall winds start to blow. Good morning, Audrey. Glad you're here. Good morning, Amy. I hope you guys. I heard some of the folks out your way lost power, so I hope you're doing well. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Yes, 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 yes. Hope you're doing all right. We are getting ready to go. Uh, yeah. So just as we're getting ready to go, hey, I hope you will. We're getting ready to put our October newsletter out. So we're going to put that out, what we call here at FCC, our parish guide. If you'd like to get that, just send a message to the church. If you'd like to be on we send it out email and we send it out hard copy. So if you'd like to receive and what's going on here at the church, please feel free to just send a message to us in the inbox and we'll get you on the list. It's there. We have a lot going on this month. Holy smokes, we are coming back great guns. We had with Rally Day, and I'm super excited for it. I am super excited to be with people both in person and virtually. I'm excited too. We're going to have some studies going on. We've got a dinner planned that we're figuring out how to do with some 400-year pilgrim events. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. So it's going to be a fun month, and it's going to be a fun fall, and I hope you'll be a part of it. So good morning, good morning. Warm wind. Yeah, windows are. Oh, it's warm up there too. It is a southerly wind, so I suppose it's warm all over. I've been cleaning up. Yes, all kinds of things cleaning up. Yep. Is Jamie going into the knee surgery today? Oh well, everybody, please. We're gonna pray for Jamie that today. Please hold her in your prayers right now. She's headed in. She's had trouble with her knees over time and time now for decades. So please hold her in your prayers these days. Lift her up. Joe is thrilled for Animal Sunday. Yes, we're having Animal Sunday. We're going to do an animal blessing. We're going to do a petting zoo. We've got all kinds of fun stuff going on. So if you want to know about that and be a part of it, please just get on our newsletters. The list is the best way to do that. All right, that is enough of the commercial for this morning. And as we gather, do remember to keep Jamie in your prayers as she is getting cared for this morning. Hey, Kim Luce, great. So glad to have you here. Bonnie Braga's with us. So glad to have her here. So it is the 30th day, the last day of September in 2020. 30th of September. Friends, we made it. We made it. We made it. We're rolling into October. It's pumpkins and jack o' lanterns time. Hey, good morning, Priscilla. This is exciting, and it's an exciting time. You know, we've had quite the political conversation in our country. That we've had this, we've had this debate where that there's this one time when the I love the part where one guy called him a weak, cowardly half breed, and the other one called him a child molester. Didn't you? I mean, that's good politics right there. Oh, wait, you didn't see that last night? No, I were you talking about? I'm not talking about last night. I'm actually talking about 1800. I'm actually see the one of the first presidential elections, the election of 1800 between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson in this country was one of the most muckraking elections that has ever had. Adams literally called him a weak, cowardly half-breed, and Jefferson called Adams a child molester. Jefferson actually hired a guy by the name of Callender to run dirty tricks against Adams, and it worked. That people hated Adams by the time Jefferson's man was done with him, and he actually won the presidency of 1800 as a result of it. If you think what the country witnessed last night in one candidate accusing one candidate of being a part of a crime family, and the other candidate accusing the other candidate of being a racist. If you think that is extraordinary in United States politics, you simply haven't been paying attention. If it's a part of you that longs for a day in which somewhere in our dialogue as a political species, there were, two very respectable men in good suits, having high-minded dialogue about the future and the way of that the world might be, you are living in a fairy tale, friends. The search and the desire for power never brings out the best in people. In fact, it brings out the very worst in people. In fact, this is the very desire for power that catapults us into the hells of our being. Think about it on a personal level. How well do your relationships, your coupled relationships, your familial relationships, your work relationships work out when your sole desire is power and control over the person that you're in relationship with? How often does that work out? Not very often. Well, it catapults. It's a channel for all the things that are wrong with us as human beings. We talk about the angels of our higher natures. Well, the angels of our higher natures have never been in the political arena of America. Now I'm sorry if there's some of you that are weeping about this a little bit. And Donna, a year that will live in 1800 was a year that will live in infamy. It's not dissimilar to 2020. This is a year that will live in infamy. There was all kinds of stuff going on in 1800 too. That to think that so it is to say to think that we've encountered these things for the first time. Oh my goodness, friends, this nation had people. We literally had fathers killing sons. There's a story in this by the 69th, the Fighting 69th of New York, where a sergeant literally shoots his son serving in the southern regiments. That's the occasion of what has taken place in this country, that in where political dialogue has gone, and deep allegiance to political dialogue. Now, I'm not going to unpack all that stuff, but I say all that to try and bring us back to this notion of the fact that if we deify our kings, not saying there isn't kings in the world, but we deify them, if we give them full authority to do all the things that we think the world needs to be fixed with, and I don't care which king you're picking these days or which queen you're picking, if you deify them, we lose, because it is never worldly power and control that is going to save us. Never. In the 12th chapter of Luke, Jesus says this: "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 copper coins? Are not one of them is forgotten before God? But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are more valuable than many sparrows." Friends, we look at this world, we look at the things that are playing out, we look at all the different pieces and parts and the desires for control and all the different ways they're playing out. We look at our political process, and you can be excited, motivated, horrified. There's a number of different reactions you can have to that. But what I want to remind you of laying out this notion is that there is one King of Kings. There is one God that is in charge of it all. And he loves you beyond measure. Literally, Jesus says these words, that your hairs of your head are numbered. And what does that mean? What does that mean? You say your hairs of your head are numbered. I think it means to say that the Lord's providence, the Holy Spirit, the movement is present in the minutest of particulars in your life, in the very smallest and pieces apart, in the radio, in the song that you'll hear on your radio, in the word that you'll hear from a friend, in the thing that will come to you just at the moment that you need it, just at the moment that you're ready to give up, the encouragement that shows up when there's no need, no reason for grace. You see, that's the God of the resurrection. That's the God of love and life that is in charge of this political process. That's not to say God's in charge of everything that happens. It's to say that God and divine providence and the Lord's providence and the Lord's hand will continue to use and build and grow and entice us toward heaven. That's the invitation. Friends, I want to end our time today with just a story. And it's a silly little story that happened to me. This last weekend, as you know, we had resistance recovery here at the church. We had a bunch of people gathering that have been in recovery for a short amount of time, some for a long amount of time, but to kind of work Recovery 2.0. They did a centering prayer workshop. They did yoga together. They broke bread together. They're the formation of this community. They heard testimony together. They told their stories about the horrors of their life. Like, I shed tears hearing some of these stories that they shared with each other. And each one of them, at the heart of each one of them, was this enduring grace at work in their lives. But the story I want to tell you is just how that came to be. Now, how that came to be is I met a friend of mine. You know her on this chat, Fannie Faye Davis. She moved from Seattle. And her move from Seattle created a cafe that was a block from where my old church used to sit. We became friends through this process and continue to be friends through this day. And as we would talk and chat over my sandwiches, she just kept saying this thing: "You need to meet my friend Piers. You need to meet my friend Piers." So time went on, but she said, "It's too bad that Piers is on the West Coast." She believed him to be on the West Coast. She believed him to be out there doing great West Coasty things. They were friends from Seattle. Now, meanwhile, there's another guy that unrelated to Fanny Faye, didn't know her at all. Ended up being was coming through town because he was off to lead a workshop, and he's a guy by the name of Ed Tick, and Ed Tick has done incredible work with veterans and post-traumatic stress, and is one of the gurus of our age in understanding that wound and help treat it. Through the work of spirit and the work of grace. And so Ed was coming through town. We'd become friends. He said, I want you to have dinner with me. So we said, sure. Met him for dinner, and there's this other guy sitting at the table and said, hey, I want you to meet my friend Piers. So I shook his hand. And we had dinner and we talked, and I had heard that he had a year or so earlier moved out from Seattle, and I heard that he had been in the recovery movement over time, and by the end of the dinner I'm saying, how many Piers can there be? So I simply said at the end of our dinner and the end of our time, I said, you don't happen to know Fanny Faye Davis, do you? And Piers's face turned white. Because of course he did. You see, the Lord's bringing bending of the world to the intersection that Piers and I might meet. Piers, who is the founder of Resistance Recovery. And that I might have the opportunity to offer him some space to be able to bring his tribe together, and that they might be able to learn deeper ways of prayer, to be able to come together, but to be able to reinforce each other in the ways of goodness. You see, that's the Lord that knows the very hairs on my head and knows the very hairs on your head. That's the Lord that's at work in this world when kings clash, when jaws flap, when insults are hurled, all of that desire for control stuff that's out there and working on us and with us and in us, all of it is subject to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords that is bending my world to a place where this guy, Piers Kanuka, and this guy, Andy Stinson, might be able to have just a chance where we create a little hole in the world where a bunch of people can get together and study prayer. A bunch of people can get together and come to know their God greater. A bunch of people can get together and not only just stay sober for one more day, but actually bring joy into the midst of their sobriety, into the midst of their conquering of their demons. Not just put demons to the side, but actually bring into themselves the very spirit of their own angelic nature. You want to talk about the appealing to the angels of our higher nature, which seems to be always some sexy thing that our political dialogue is supposed to do for us, but it always disappoints. What has brought us to the fact is that God has with us and through us and around us and behind us and in front of us numbered the hairs on our head, knows down to the minutest particulars of our days how to bend this universe so that places of love and grace and beauty might break out, where heaven might find its way into this world. You see, friends, that is what God has as an answer to all of this season of politicking. So my invitation to you in these days, my hope for you, is that you'll just step into and remember that look at the birds as they're flying around, as they're starting to head south. Look at the sparrows of your world and know that God hasn't forgotten them. God hasn't forgotten every blade of grass. God hasn't forgotten the very hairs in your head, but is at work in them and with them and through them to bring love and grace and beauty and the heavenly light into this world. You see, that's what's going on. Don't let the nattering and nabobs of negativism, to use a great political phrase, deter you from your relationship with the one who loves you and from the joy that is that each moment and each part of our being is pregnant with. There will be kings. They will clash swords. Adams will, the great founding fathers of the nation will insult one another and call each other horrible names, just as the founders, the operators of the nation today will call each other names. All of it is subject to the God that has numbered all the hairs on your head, who bends us into these places where we can create and make a space for a little bit of love in this world. And that is what it's all about. All right, friends, that's our time today. I hope you can find some encouragement in these days. You can enjoy this blustery day. I like these big wind days that they allow us to know that there is a God in charge and it's not us. And that it allows us to see a little bit of power that is not ours to harness, but it is ours to stand in awe of, and to know that it loves and hopes the very highest and best for us. All right, friends, we'll be back tomorrow at 11:11. I am so grateful that each one of you are here with us in this journey. And I will say, and remember, say prayers. Say prayers for Jamie today. She's going under the knife right now as we speak. So I invite you that we might pray for her and offer her all the healing of heaven. Peace and grace, friends.